You think you have an overthinking problem, but you don't. You have an escaping problem. And the worst part is, you've turned it into your identity. You say, "This is just how I am. I think too much." But look closely. Every time life asks something real from you, a decision, a risk, a change, you disappear. Not outside. Inside, you run into your mind, and while you're busy thinking, replaying, analyzing, going in circles, your life keeps moving. Moments pass. Opportunities fade. Time doesn't wait for you to figure it out. And here's the truth that changes everything. You're not overthinking your life. You're escaping it. The thought that feels safe is quietly trapping you. There's a certain kind of thought you keep returning to, again and again, like a place you know too well. It doesn't arrive loudly. It doesn't feel dangerous. It feels familiar, almost comforting in a strange, quiet way, even when it hurts you, even when it drains your energy, even when it leaves you tired at the end of the day. You still go back to it. Not once, not twice, but every single day, because it's known, and your mind loves what it already knows. It doesn't care if it's good for you. It doesn't care if it's slowly pulling you down. If it's familiar, it feels safe. That's why even pain can feel safe when it's predictable. That's why you keep replaying the same thoughts, the same memories, the same conversations in your head that already happened, or never even happened. You sit there, going over the same moments, thinking maybe this time you'll understand it better. Maybe this time it will feel different. Maybe this time you'll finally get peace. But it never changes. It's the same loop, just wearing a different face. And deep down, you already know that. But still, you stay. Because stepping out of it feels unknown. And unknown feels uncomfortable. It feels like losing control. It feels like walking into something you can't predict. So your mind whispers to you, "Stay here just a little longer. Think about it one more time. Don't leave yet. You're almost there." But you're not almost there. You've been almost there for a long time, and nothing has moved. Nothing has changed. Because these thoughts were never meant to free you. They were only meant to keep you busy, to keep you inside, to keep you from stepping into something real. So you stay inside your head, replaying, reanalyzing, reliving. Not because it helps you, but because it feels easier than facing what's outside of it. And slowly, without you even realizing it, that safe place starts turning into something else. Something tighter, something heavier, something that holds you instead of protecting you. It becomes a cage, a quiet one, an invisible one, where nothing looks wrong from the outside, but inside you feel stuck. And the most dangerous part is this: you don't even notice when it happens. You don't notice when comfort turns into control. You don't notice when thinking turns into hiding. You don't notice when safety turns into a trap, because it feels normal. It feels like you, but it's not you. It's just a pattern you've been living in for so long that it started to feel like home. And now it's quietly holding you there. You're living in your head while your life slips away. There's something very quiet happening in your life right now, and you're not even noticing it. Your life is moving, but you're not really in it. You wake up, you go through your day, you talk to people, you sit in moments, but your mind is somewhere else, always somewhere else. You're thinking about what happened yesterday, or what might happen tomorrow. You're replaying, imagining, analyzing, and while all of that is happening inside you, life is happening outside you. Moments come and they go, and you don't even feel them fully. You're there, but not really there. You're listening, but not really hearing. You're looking, but not really seeing. It's like your body is present, but your mind is somewhere far away. And slowly, this becomes your normal. You stop noticing how much you're missing. A simple conversation passe. A small moment of peace disappears. A real feeling comes and goes, and you're not there to receive it because you're inside your head again, trying to understand life instead of actually living it. And the strange part is, you think you're being aware. You think you're paying attention, but real awareness doesn't feel heavy. Real awareness doesn't pull you away from life. What you're experiencing is distance, a quiet distance between you and everything around you. Like there's a thin wall between you and reality. You can see everything clearly, but you can't feel it deeply. You laugh, but it doesn't stay. You feel something, but it fades quickly. Nothing feels fully real because you're not fully here. And the more you stay in your head, the more life starts to feel like something you're watching. Instead of something you're living, you become an observer of your own life, watching yourself move, watching time pass, watching moments disappear without ever truly stepping into them. And time doesn't slow down for this. It keeps moving, quietly, relentlessly, taking moments with it, one by one. And one day, you look back, and it doesn't feel like you lived those moments. It feels like you just thought about them, like your whole life became a memory, before it even had a chance to feel real. And that's the cost of living in your head. Not pain, not failure, but something even quieter. You slowly lose your connection to your own life. Not all at once, but moment by moment, thought by thought, until one day you realize you were never really there. It feels like control, but it's just a beautiful delay. There's a quiet trick your mind plays on you, and it's so smooth, you almost never question it. It makes you feel like you're in control, like you're doing something important, like you're working things out, preparing, getting closer to clarity. It feels productive. It feels responsible. It even feels smart. So you trust it. You sit there, thinking longer, going deeper, turning the same situation in every possible direction, looking at every angle, every outcome, every what if. And in that moment, it feels like progress, like you're getting somewhere. But pause for a second. Look honestly. Where are you actually going? Nothing is moving. Nothing is changing. You're in the same place, just more tired than before. Because thinking like this doesn't move your life forward. It only gives you the feeling that it is. It's like standing still, but imagining you're walking, and your mind is very good at making that illusion feel real. Because it protects you. It keeps you away from the one thing that feels uncomfortable. Action. Real action is messy. Real action is uncertain. It doesn't give you guarantees. It doesn't give you perfect answers. It asks you to step forward without knowing everything. And that's exactly what your mind wants to avoid. So instead, it gives you something softer, something safer. It gives you thinking, endless thinking. Because inside your thoughts, you don't have to risk anything. You don't have to face rejection. You don't have to make a final decision. You don't have to deal with real consequences. You can just stay there, planning, imagining, preparing, waiting for the right moment. But that moment never comes. Because the truth is, you're not waiting. You're delaying. A very gentle delay. A very comfortable delay. A delay that feels so reasonable. You don't even see it as a problem. You tell yourself, I just need a little more clarity. I just need to think this through one more time. I'm not ready yet. But how long have you been saying that? Days? Weeks? Months? Maybe even years. And still, you're in the same place. Because thinking has become your hiding place. A place where you feel in control, without actually taking control of your life. And slowly, this delay starts costing you something. Opportunities pass, moments fade, chances disappear. Not because you weren't capable, but because you were waiting inside your mind, trying to feel ready, trying to feel certain, trying to feel safe. But life doesn't wait for certainty. It moves anyway, with or without your permission. And every time you choose thinking over action, you step a little further away from your real life. Not in a loud way, not in a dramatic way, but quietly, gently, one delay at a time, until one day you realize you didn't lack control, you just kept postponing it. And that control you felt all along was never control. It was just a beautiful, convincing, and very comfortable way to stay exactly where you are. You already know the truth. You're just avoiding it. There is something inside you that already knows, and it has known for a long time, but you keep moving around it instead of facing it directly, as if walking in circles could somehow make it disappear or change its shape, as if thinking more about it could make it easier to accept. But deep down you feel it clearly, quietly, without confusion, without noise, without doubt. You know what doesn't feel right anymore. You know what has been draining you. You know what you've been holding on to for too long. And yet, you don't face it. Instead, you think around it. You create more questions, more possibilities, more stories, not because you need answers, but because staying in questions feels safer than facing one clear answer that might change everything. You tell yourself that you're still figuring it out, that you need more time, that you're not fully sure yet. But if you are honest for a moment, you'll see that it's not confusion that's keeping you here. It's resistance. Because truth is simple, and simple is hard to escape. The moment you face it, something inside you knows that things cannot stay the same, and that is where the discomfort begins, not in the truth itself, but in what the truth asks from you. It asks you to let go of something you've become used to, even if it hurts you. It asks you to accept something you've been denying. It asks you to make a decision that cannot be undone, and that feels heavy. So your mind steps in, not to guide you, but to protect you from that moment. It keeps you busy with endless thinking, with small details, with what-ifs and maybes, with possibilities that don't require action, because as long as you are thinking, you don't have to face what you already know. You tell yourself you're still searching, but you're not searching anymore. You've already found it. You just don't want to look at it directly, because once you do, you can't pretend you didn't see it. Once you accept it, something inside you has to shift, and that shift is what you've been avoiding all along. So instead, you stay in this quiet loop where you almost face it but never fully do, where you get close enough to feel the truth but not close enough to act on it. And that's why it feels like you're stuck, because you're not lost. You're standing right in front of the answer, but you keep turning your head away at the last second. The mind is very clever in this way. It makes avoidance look like effort. It makes delay look like thinking. It makes fear look like uncertainty. And slowly, without realizing it, you start believing that you don't know what to do, when in reality, you do know. You've always known. You just haven't been ready to accept what comes with that knowing. And the longer you avoid it, the heavier it feels, because truth doesn't disappear when you ignore it. It waits, quietly, patiently, showing up again and again in different forms, in your thoughts, in your feelings, in the moments when everything becomes still and you can't distract yourself anymore. It doesn't leave you alone because it's not trying to hurt you. It's trying to wake you up, but you keep pushing it away, not because you're weak, not because you don't understand, but because facing it means stepping into something real, something uncertain, something that doesn't give you the comfort of staying the same. So you stay where you are, holding on to the familiar, even when it no longer feels right, even when it quietly drains you, even when something inside you keeps whispering that this is not where you're meant to stay, and that whisper never fully goes away, because truth doesn't shout, it waits. And the moment you stop running, the moment you stop thinking around it, the moment you allow yourself to see it without turning away, you realize something that changes everything. You were never confused. You were just avoiding what you already knew. Your mind repeats what you refuse to let go of. There is a pattern inside your mind that keeps returning, no matter how much time passes, no matter how many distractions you try, no matter how many times you tell yourself that you are done with it, because what you think about the most is never random. It is always connected to something you have not fully faced, something you have not fully accepted, something you are still holding on to in a quiet and invisible way. You notice it in small moments, when your mind suddenly goes back to the same memory, the same person, the same situation, as if nothing has changed, as if time has not moved at all, and you find yourself replaying it again, trying to understand it differently, trying to change the ending in your head, trying to find a version of it that finally gives you peace. But no matter how many times you go through it, it never feels complete. And that is because your mind is not trying to solve it. It is trying to keep it alive, because something in you has not let go yet. You may have moved on the outside. You may have changed your routine, your environment, even your words. But inside, something is still holding that moment, still attached to what it meant, still connected to how it made you feel. And as long as that connection remains, your mind will keep bringing it back to you again and again, not to punish you, but because it has not been released. It shows up when you are quiet, when you are alone, when there is nothing else to distract you, and suddenly the same thoughts return, the same feelings rise, and it feels like you are back there again, living it, feeling it, questioning it, as if it is still happening right now. And in those moments, it becomes clear that it never really left you. It only went silent for a while. The mind works in loops. It repeats what feels unfinished. It holds on to what has not been accepted. It returns to what still has emotional weight inside you. And no matter how much you try to push it away, ignore it, or replace it with something else, it keeps finding its way back, because it is not asking to be pushed away. It is asking to be seen. But instead of seeing it clearly, you get lost inside it. You follow it. You react to it. You try to fix it from inside the same loop. And that is why it never ends, because you are trying to escape it while still holding on to it at the same time. Letting go is not something your mind easily agrees with, because letting go feels like losing something, even if that thing is painful, even if that thing no longer belongs in your life, even if it is the very reason you feel stuck. There is still a part of you that holds on to it, because it has become familiar, because it has become part of your identity, because it has stayed with you long enough to feel like something you cannot just release. So your mind keeps it alive, quietly repeating it, revisiting it, keeping it close, not because it wants to hurt you, but because it does not know how to exist without it. And this is where the real trap begins, because you start believing that the repetition means something is still unresolved in a way that needs more thinking, more analyzing, more understanding. But the truth is, it is not asking for more thinking. It is asking for acceptance. It is asking for you to stop holding on to what is already gone. It is asking for you to stop trying to change what cannot be changed. It is asking for you to see it fully, without adding more stories to it, without trying to rewrite it in your head, without trying to make it different from what it already is. Because the moment you truly accept something as it is, without resistance, without denial, without trying to hold it in place, something inside you begins to loosen its grip, and the loop slowly starts to break. But until that happens, the mind will keep repeating it, not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly, constantly, until you finally understand that it is not the thought that is holding you. It is what you are refusing to let go of. The present feels empty, so you keep escaping it. There is a quiet discomfort you feel when everything becomes still, and it is not loud or dramatic, but it is enough to make you restless, enough to make you reach for something, anything, that can fill the space. Because when the present moment has nothing happening, nothing pulling your attention, nothing demanding your focus, you start to feel something you have been avoiding for a long time. It feels like emptiness. Not a peaceful kind of emptiness, but a strange, unfamiliar silence where there is nothing to hold on to, nothing to distract you, nothing to keep your mind busy. And in that space, you begin to feel exposed, as if there is nothing between you and yourself anymore. And that is where the discomfort begins. So you escape. Not in a big, obvious way, but in small, quiet ways that feel normal, ways that feel harmless, ways that feel like thinking, but are actually just movement away from what is real. You go back to the past, replaying moments that are already gone, trying to feel something again, trying to stay connected to something that once felt full, because even painful memories feel more alive than the emptiness of the present. Or you move into the future, imagining outcomes, planning possibilities, creating scenarios that give you something to hold on to, something to feel, something to keep your mind engaged, because the future feels more meaningful than the stillness of now. And, without realizing it, you start living between what has already happened and what has not happened yet, while completely missing what is actually here. The present moment begins to feel like a place you visit for a second, but never stay in, because staying requires you to face the silence, and in that silence, there are no distractions, no stories, no escape, just you. And that is what feels uncomfortable, because when there is nothing to think about, nothing to chase, nothing to fix, you are left with yourself without anything covering it. And if you have spent a long time avoiding certain feelings, certain truths, certain parts of yourself, that stillness becomes difficult to sit with. So the mind runs. It moves quickly, jumping from one thought to another, from one memory to another, from one imagined future to another, just to avoid staying in one place, just to avoid feeling what is underneath all of it. And the more you escape, the more the present starts to feel empty, because you are never fully there long enough to experience it. You never give it your full attention, your full presence, your full awareness. It is not that the present is empty, it is that you are not in it. Life is still happening in that moment, in small ways, in quiet ways, in simple ways that do not demand your attention, but offer something real if you are there to receive it. But when your mind is always somewhere else, those moments pass without touching you, without leaving anything behind. And slowly, this creates a deeper feeling, a sense that life itself is empty, that nothing feels real, that nothing feels enough. But the truth is, it is not life that feels empty. It is your distance from it, because you are always somewhere else, always thinking, always escaping, always moving away from the only place where life is actually happening. And the longer you stay in this pattern, the harder it becomes to simply be present, to sit in a moment without reaching for something, to exist without needing to fill the space with thoughts, because your mind has become used to constant movement, constant noise, constant escape. But beneath all of that, the present is still there, quiet, simple, unchanged, waiting, not demanding anything from you, not forcing you to stay, just existing as it is, moment after moment, whether you are there or not. And the moment you stop running, even for a second, even without trying to fix anything, even without trying to make it meaningful, you begin to notice something different, something subtle but real. The emptiness you were trying to escape was never in the present. It was in the space you created by leaving it. And when you come back, fully, without resistance, without distraction, without trying to turn it into something else, you realize that the present was never empty. It only felt that way because you were never truly there. The moment you see it clearly, the illusion starts cracking. There comes a moment that does not feel dramatic, does not arrive with noise or force, but something inside you quietly shifts. And, for the first time, you are not completely inside your thoughts. You are not fully lost in the loop. You are not being carried away without noticing, because something in you pauses. And in that pause, you begin to see, not think. See. You start to notice how your mind moves, how it pulls you from one thought to another, how it keeps you busy with stories that feel real in the moment, but leave you exactly where you started. And instead of following every thought, instead of believing everything that appears in your mind, you begin to watch it. You see how a single thought appears, and then another one builds on top of it, and then another, creating a chain that feels endless. And for so long you were inside that chain without even realizing it, reacting to it, becoming it, letting it decide how you feel, how you see your life, how you see yourself. But now, something is different. You are not completely inside it anymore. There is a small distance, a quiet space between you and what is happening in your mind. And in that space, the illusion begins to weaken, because the illusion only works when you are fully inside it, when you believe every thought without question, when you move with it without seeing it, when you become so close to it that you forget there is anything beyond it. The moment you step back, even slightly, even for a few seconds, the power of it begins to change. You start to notice patterns that were always there but never seen clearly. You see how your mind repeats the same fears, the same doubts, the same stories in different forms, and you realize that what felt new and urgent every time was actually something old, something familiar, something that has been running quietly in the background of your life. And this realization does not come from more thinking. It comes from seeing without getting lost. It comes from being aware without reacting. It comes from staying present long enough to notice what is actually happening instead of what your mind is telling you is happening. At first, this can feel strange, because you are not used to this distance. You are not used to watching your thoughts instead of becoming them, and your mind will try to pull you back. It will create new thoughts, new reasons, new distractions, trying to keep you inside the loop where it feels in control. But once you have seen it, even once, something inside you remembers. You cannot fully go back to being completely unaware. You may still get pulled in, you may still lose yourself in thinking at times, but there will always be a part of you that recognizes what is happening, a part of you that sees the pattern instead of blindly following it. And that is where the illusion begins to crack. Not all at once, not completely, but slowly, gently, piece by piece. Because the illusion was never something solid, it was something you were continuously feeding with attention, something that stayed alive because you kept believing it without seeing it clearly. And the moment you begin to see it as it is, without adding more stories to it, without trying to control it or fight it, its hold on you begins to loosen. You realize that the thoughts are not you. They are something you experience. You realize that the stories in your mind are not reality. They are interpretations. You realize that the constant movement inside your head is not something you have to follow. It is something you can observe. And in that realization, something deeper opens. A sense of space, a sense of quiet, a sense of freedom that does not come from changing your thoughts, but from no longer being trapped inside them. And for the first time, you begin to understand something that cannot be explained through thinking, something that can only be seen directly. The illusion was never outside of you. It was in the way you were seeing. And the moment you see it clearly, even for a brief second, even in a small way, the grip it had on you begins to break. and what once felt solid and unchangeable starts to feel light, almost transparent. And that is where everything begins to shift. Not because you forced it, not because you solved it, but because you finally saw it. Your real life begins. The moment you stop escaping, there is a point where something inside you becomes quiet. Not because everything in your life is perfect, not because all your questions are answered, but because you finally stop running, and in that stillness you begin to notice something you have been missing for a long time. Something simple, something real, something that was always here but never fully felt because your attention was always somewhere else. For so long, you believed that life would begin when you felt ready, when your thoughts became clear, when your mind finally settled, when everything made sense. But that moment never came, and the reason it never came is because life does not wait for clarity. It does not wait for perfect understanding. It does not wait for your mind to agree with it. It is already happening. It has always been happening. But you were not there. You were in your thoughts, in your fears, in your imagined versions of how things should be. And while you were trying to understand life from a distance, it was moving right in front of you, quietly, moment by moment, without asking you to figure it out first. And now, something changes. Not outside you, but inside you. You begin to see that all this time you were trying to think your way into living, trying to solve your way into peace, trying to control your way into certainty. But none of that ever brought you closer to your life. It only kept you away from it. Because life is not something you enter through thinking. It is something you step into. And stepping into it does not require you to be ready. It requires you to stop escaping, to stop running back into your mind every time something feels uncertain, every time something feels uncomfortable, every time something feels real. Because real life is not clean and perfect. It is not always clear. It is not always comfortable. It does not give you guarantees. It does not follow your plans. But it is alive. It is present, it is happening now, and the only way to experience it is to be here with it. When you stop escaping, even for a moment, you begin to feel things more deeply, not because life suddenly changes, but because you are finally there to experience it. You notice the small details you used to miss, the quiet moments you used to pass by, the feelings that come and go without being chased or analyzed. You begin to see that you do not need to understand everything to live. You do not need to control everything to feel at peace. You do not need to solve your thoughts before you take a step forward. Because life does not ask you for perfection, it only asks you for presence. And presence is simple, but it is not easy. Because it means staying when your mind wants to run. It means feeling when your mind wants to escape. It means being here without needing to change what is here, and that is something you have not allowed yourself to do for a long time. But the moment you do, even slightly, even imperfectly, something begins to open inside you, a sense of space that does not come from thinking, a sense of ease that does not come from control, a sense of being alive that does not depend on everything going your way. And you realize something that shifts everything. Your life was never waiting for you to figure it out. It was waiting for you to show up. Not in your thoughts, not in your fears, but here, in what is real, in what is happening now. And the moment you stop escaping, not forever, not perfectly, but even for a single honest moment, you step out of the loop that has been holding you and into something that has always been available to you. Your real life. Not the one in your head, not the one you imagine, but the one you can actually live. Right now, and now, just stay here for a second. Don't rush away. Don't go back into your thoughts. Not yet. Because this right here, is the moment you've been avoiding your whole life. Not the past, not the future. This. You've spent so much time trying to understand your life, trying to fix it, trying to control it, that you forgot to actually be in it. And now you see it, not as an idea, but as something real happening inside you. You see how your mind pulls you away, how it keeps you busy, how it promises answers, but gives you distance instead. And for the first time, you don't follow it, you just see it. And that changes everything, because the moment you stop running, the moment you stop escaping, the moment you stop trying to think your way out, you come back, not to a perfect life, but to a real one. A life that is not waiting for you to be ready. A life that is not asking you to understand everything. A life that is simply asking you to be here. And maybe nothing around you has changed. Maybe your problems are still there. Maybe your questions are still unanswered. But something deeper has shifted. You are no longer lost inside your mind. You are here, and that is where everything begins. So the next time your mind tries to pull you away, pause, notice it, and remember this moment. Because you don't need another thought. You don't need another answer. You don't need to escape again. You just need to stop and come back. Right here, where your life has been waiting for you all along.